Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today. Chapter 441. 10 years. The remaining 4 8th-layer Invincibles saw this. They immediately realized that the insect race must know crucial intelligence, or have deeper schemes. Galactic Star-Lord, among our insect race's rating of numerous geniuses of the human long-lived generations, is ranked 7th, stated the shadowy figure of the bug hive. 7th. The 5 8th-layer Invincibles were shocked. The definition of genius by a peak clan like the insect race is extremely stringent, and their list of human geniuses considers many aspects. The ranking of the Galaxy Master at 7th means that every aspect about him must be terrifying. After all, it is very rare for those under 100 years to attain this ranking when they are only at the 8th layer. Galaxy Star-Lord, your growth rate is too fast, the shadow of the bug hive stated without further explanation. Although the insect race lacks a virtual world and the 3 ultimate AI goddesses, they do have the top diviners. Through the confluence of numerous pieces of intelligence, they deduced the potential of the Galaxy Star-Lord, which is in no way inferior to the offspring of supreme beings or human evolvers with special inheritances, and so on. Ultimately, they placed him 7th on the list. In reality, these insect race diviners are unaware that the Marshall Path evolutionary path was created by Lin Yuan. Xiaqin Supreme Being is aware of this fact and outright admitted that Lin Yuan's talent could rank in the top 20 or even top 10 in the history of human civilization. This ranking is in human historical context, whereas the insect race's list only pertains to the current generation of talents under long-lived years old. There is no comparison between the two. If the insect race were to learn of Xiaqin Supreme Being's assessment of Lin Yuan, they would, without a doubt, shatter the unspoken agreement once more and employ even higher means to exterminate Lin Yuan at all costs. A human genius of this era, ranked 7th, has an extremely slim chance of becoming a supreme being. But a genius ranked in the top 20 or top 10 in human history has a much greater likelihood of achieving that status. Human civilization cannot allow other peak clans to have an additional supreme being, and the insect race is equally unwilling to see another supreme being emerge from human civilization. In truth, even Xiaqin Supreme Being underestimated Lin Yuan's talent. In Xiaqin's view, Lin Yuan must have received heritage from forces outside the main world, which is why he knew about the magic Jade Tower. And that heritage undoubtedly includes a plethora of cultivation resources and fortuitous encounters. This is what has made Lin Yuan what he is today. However, in reality, from the time Lin Yuan became an evolver until he took over the Milky Way star region, except for the door to the myriad realms, he never encountered any unknown fortune. This assassination attempt, I want you to completely kill that Galaxy Master so that he cannot resurrect. The shadow of the bug hive sent out a psychic wave. Unable to resurrect? Completely kill? The 5 8th-layer Invincibles looked at each other. Their expressions showed helplessness. With Lin Yuan's identity and strength, it was highly likely that the one stationed at the Milky Way main star would be an avatar. The true body, presumably, was in an extremely safe place. Even with the 5 of the 8th-layer Invincibles joining forces, the Star-Lord would definitely not be able to resist, but completely killing him, along with his true body, was almost impossible. No matter what, Lin Yuan was also of the 8th layer, existing at the same realm as these invincible beings. Some special methods, such as the curse-killing skill, wouldn't even have an effect. That meant not only could they not completely kill him, but they also could not prevent him from resurrecting. Rest assured, the mind of the bug hive shadow flickered slightly. A cubic container appeared. The cube was transparent, and faintly, one could see mist swirling inside it. "This is memory poison," it said. "The 5 of you, working together to control the avatar of the Galaxy Star Lord. Then inject this memory poison into its body, directed the voice. You don't have to worry about the rest, the shadow of the bug hive's psychic wave conveyed. Memory poison? The 5 8th-layer Invincibles were immediately startled. Memory poison is an extremely special artifact. It can destroy and twist beings on the level of memory. As is well known, with the doppelganger skill, the original body shares memories with the avatar. If memory poison is injected into the avatar, then the original body's memories will also be contaminated and twisted. By then, even if a supreme being intervened, reversing the course and resurrecting the individual would be meaningless. The rationale behind resurrection is for a supreme being to use the rule of time to reverse spacetime, pulling the dead being from the past to the present. This achieves the goal of resurrection. However, no matter to which point in time they return, the moment the resurrected being comes back to the cosmic starry sky, they will receive all the memory information from right before their death. That means, even if a supreme being goes back to an even more distant past, to retrieve a being whose memories have not yet been contaminated, once that individual returns to the cosmic starry sky and synchronizes memories, they will be contaminated all over again. To use memory poison on just a human 8th layer, even if he is an exceptional genius, one of the Invincibles muttered under their breath. Memory poison is extremely precious, and only a supreme being, expending great effort and paying some price, can possibly create it. Even for the wealth of the insect race, there probably aren't many instances of memory poison. Any within the top 10 of our created list merit the use of memory poison, commented the Shadow. However, given the potential of the Galaxy Master, he is bound to have life-saving items. You 5 must strike with full force, leaving no opportunity, the Shadow of the Bug Hive warned. While memory poison is fearsome, it targets only memories. Any other power, no matter how faint, could destroy memory poison. Therefore, only if the 5 8th-layer Invincibles completely subdue the Galaxy Star Lord and cut off all of his chances for resistance, can memory poison be used. Chapter 442. Milky Way Main Star. Lin Yuan arrived at his inner world. Thunder Heart. Lin Yuan slowly merged the 8-star Supreme Cosmic Rare Treasure he had traded for 12,000 cubic universe crystals into his inner world. Wish. Strands of purple lightning began to fill the vast expanse of his inner world, spanning over 2 million square miles. The purple lightning was filled with a destructive aura, yet it also burst forth with vibrant vitality, making his entire inner world suddenly feel much more real. Worthy of being the Thunder Heart. Lin Yuan felt the changes in his inner world. A look of satisfaction appeared on his face. Even among cosmic rare treasures, there were significant differences between them. A cosmic rare treasure like the Thunder Heart was clearly superior to others like the Primordial Fire. This could be seen from their values. My current strength should be considered the first sequence below the invincible 8th layer, I suppose. Lin Yuan thought to himself. It's just that up to now, I'm still a bit short of fully comprehending the Tai-In rule. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged in his inner world, his thoughts fluctuating. From 4th rank onwards, Lin Yuan had begun to comprehend the Tai-In Tai-Yang rule. After that, 5th rank, 6th rank, 7th rank, and even now at 8th layer, it was the Tai-Yang rule that was always far ahead. Furthermore, Tai-In and Tai-Yang complement each other, forming Taiji. So even if the comprehension of the Tai-In rule was slightly weaker, it didn't affect Lin Yuan much. As a result, Lin Yuan's comprehension of the Tai-In rule was much less advanced than the Tai-Yang rule. And even with a complete understanding of the Tai-Yang rule, the conversion of Tai-In Tai-Yang through Taiji still couldn't rapidly lead to the comprehension of the Tai-In rule. No rush. I can feel it's coming soon. At most a few years or a bit over a decade. Lin Yuan had a good sense of it. Other evolvers would need to break through countless bottlenecks and shackles to fully comprehend the Tai-In rule. But he had the conversion of the Tai-Yang rule, having virtually no bottlenecks or shackles, so it was not an exaggeration to say it was a level plane. Soul-settling pearl. Lin Yuan glanced at the life-saving object given to him by Xia Qin's Supreme Being. The soul-settling pearl guarded the spirit will, encompassing one's own memories. The intention of the Xiaqin Supreme Being was even if a Supreme Being made a move, the soul-settling pearl could block it for an instant, providing Lin Yuan an opportunity to self-destruct. However, it wasn't to say that the soul-settling pearl would only activate if a Supreme Being acted. Any attack or method that threatened Lin Yuan's spirit will or memories would be blocked by the soul-settling pearl. Of course, the heart demon from the heart demon tribulation was not included in this. Milky Way Main Star Palace. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, with crimson flames burning wildly inside him. Time passed, but it was hard to say how much. Lin Yuan opened his eyes. My body didn't collapse. According to the information Lin Yuan obtained from the mysterious gourd, fully absorbing the liquid inside the gourd was predicated on having an unharmed body persist until the end. In the past countless times, Lin Yuan's body had turned to dust, and he had returned with the blood rebirth, divine skill. But now, Lin Yuan's body had persisted. Indeed, it increased by 3.33 times. Lin Yuan carefully felt his body and his inner world and reached a conclusion. His inner world was now vast and boundless, almost 2.7 million square miles in area. This was because during this period, Lin Yuan had comprehended more spatial models, causing the base size of his inner world to exceed 800,000 square miles. Then, after expanding by 3.33 times, he ended up with the nearly 2.7 million square miles large inner world he now possessed. Now, relying solely on my inner world, I am enough to crush ordinary 8th layer peaks. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. The inner world of a normal 8th layer peak would be around 400,000 square miles. 400,000 square miles? 2.7 million square miles? It was more than just a crushing difference. Continue. Let's see the orange-yellow liquid. Lin Yuan's eyes shone brightly as he looked at the gray-red gourd in front of him. The gray-red gourd could condense 7 types of liquids, divided by color into red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. Lin Yuan had completely absorbed the crimson liquid. Next would be the orange-yellow liquid. Thinking this, Lin Yuan immediately reached out to grasp the gourd, turning the spout downward. Perhaps because of the contact with Lin Yuan's hand, the originally gray-red gourd slowly began to change. The red began to fade, replaced by yellow. Gray-yellow gourd. Drip drop. A drop of orange-yellow liquid coalesced at the mouth of the gourd. So beautiful. Lin Yuan gazed at the drop of orange-yellow liquid, vaguely sensing a miniature universe within it. He observed for a moment. Lin Yuan then swallowed the drop of orange-yellow liquid. Boom! The orange-yellow liquid turned into flames, quickly spreading throughout Lin Yuan's body. In an instant, Lin Yuan's body turned to ashes. After a few breaths, the blood rebirth divine skill activated, and Lin Yuan returned from the ashes. Lin Yuan was somewhat stunned. The enhancement is too great, causing me to be unable to endure it? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and came to a conclusion. It seems that an inner world with a 500 million mile radius is at least required to withstand the enhancement from the orange-yellow liquid? Lin Yuan thought to himself. Unlike improving the inner world through grasping the space rules, the enhancement from the liquid inside the mysterious gourd is forceful, breaking some limits and constraints for improvement. Therefore, one cannot step too far at one time. Lin Yuan must possess a certain foundation to endure a large enough enhancement. An inner world with a 5 million mile radius isn't difficult for me. Lin Yuan thought, after transforming with the red liquid, an inner world with a 500 million mile radius was equivalent to other evolvers' 150 million mile radius inner world. This was far from reaching the limit of the inner world. Outside the Milky Way main star, 5 figures hid in the depths of space. This planet, after a B-grade modification, can even hold off us for a few breaths. The leading 8th layer invincible spoke. These few breaths could potentially alert the Galaxy Master to something off, leading him to detonate his avatar directly. If that happened, their mission would end in failure. Although they would not be punished by the insect race, those treasure rewards would obviously have nothing to do with them. What do we do now? The second eighth layer Invincible frowned. The Galaxy Master was within the planet. Although there were hundreds of millions of miles between them, for eighth layer Invincibles, one teleportation was all it took to arrive, nearly no different from being right in front of them. Of course, the B-grade modified Milky Way main star had the ability to block teleportation. They could at most teleport outside the planet. Wait! Wait for the Galaxy Master to come out on his own. The leading eighth layer Invincible continued. We only have one chance. Once the Galaxy Master notices, consider it a failure. With that said, the four eighth layer Invincibles nodded slightly. The strength of the Galaxy Master was indeed inferior to that of any of them. But the Galaxy Master doesn't need to confront them directly. Just by successfully detonating his avatar, he would render the five of them helpless. The Galaxy Master might be young, but he wasn't foolish. Once he realized five eighth layer Invincibles were coming after him, he would definitely be able to surmise that they possessed some means to affect his true self. Simply killing an avatar wouldn't compel five eighth layer Invincibles to make a move. Though, deploying eighth layer Invincibles in the fringe starfield is far less costly than deploying them deep within human civilization. In the fringe starfield, eighth layer Invincibles are very likely to escape unscathed after an assassination. But deep within human civilization, not to mention eighth layer Invincibles, even ninth rank powerhouses, as long as they dare to reveal themselves, are doomed to die. But what's the status of eighth layer Invincibles? To deploy five at once? Even the peak clans wouldn't waste resources like that. The only possibility would be planning to kill the avatar and its true self together. Right, we only have one chance. We must seize it. The five eighth layer Invincibles exchanged glances. They immediately began waiting patiently. As long as the Galaxy Master didn't discover their ambush outside, he would come out sooner or later. That would be their chance. With this thought, the five eighth layer Invincibles felt a slight heat in their hearts. If the mission went smoothly, the reward from the insect race might just enable them to take that next step. And so, the five eighth layer Invincibles waited outside the Milky Way main star for 10 years. Chapter 443 Infiltration. Outside the Milky Way main star. In the depths of space, five members of different species fused. As eighth layer Invincibles, they had essentially penetrated through 5,000 or 6,000 core spatial models. They could easily merge into layer upon layer of space. The space of the main world was vast and boundless, its layers number unknown. Countless secret realms were hidden within certain layers, undiscovered for tens of thousands of years. What exactly is this Galaxy Master doing? Not coming out for 10 years? The five eighth layer Invincibles of the alien races wondered. For an eighth layer powerhouse, a retreat spanning decades or even centuries was not strange. But the Galaxy Master had just assumed control over the Milky Way star region. Logically, he would need to move around the region frequently. Where was the precedent for a new Star Lord hiding away on the main star and not showing himself? Indeed, as a Star Lord, one would certainly not take personal action in all matters, but to not even show one's face? No matter. We just need to wait. If not 10 years, then 50 years. If 50 years won't do, then 500 years. The leading eighth layer Invincible, who hailed from the powerful dark-scaled race, and was named Sarath, spoke out. The dark-scaled race was a member of the Insect Race Alliance, and the other four eighth layer Invincibles also came from several major races of the Insect Race Alliance. Among the insect race themselves, there was no concept of eighth layer Invincibles. Each insect race hive could nurture countless warriors, and as long as there were enough eighth layer insect race warriors, even the Invincibles would have to be wary. Therefore, the way to assess the strength of an insect race hive was by the layer it occupied, and the number of insect race warriors it had nurtured across various ranks. An eighth layer insect race hive was the strongest existence within the eighth layer. Given enough time and resources, it could produce an endless stream of eighth layer insect race warriors. Even if these warriors lacked a basic understanding of the rules, a quantitative change would cause a qualitative change. When there were enough numbers, they could sweep all before them. This was the insect race's technique for sweeping through the cosmic starry skies, known as the Sea of Insects tactics. Correct. It's just a matter of time. For us, even if we have to wait thousands of years, what of it? The third eighth layer Invincible said. They, too, yearned to step into the ninth rank, but facing the threshold of fusion rules, mere secluded cultivation was useless. Fusion rules, especially those involving cornerstone support rules, required not only sufficient personal strength, but also that key moment of spiritual light. Wait 1,000 years? The fourth eighth layer Invincible frowned slightly, sensing that something wasn't right. This Galaxy Master, with such terrifying talent and potential, ranks 7th even on the insect race's hit list. If he cultivates for thousands of years, there's the possibility he'll reach the 9th rank, or at least become an 8th layer Invincible. He expressed his concerns. With this statement, the remaining 4 8th layer Invincibles fell silent. If it were any other evolver, the notion of discerning some cosmic force and becoming an 8th layer Invincible within a few thousand years would certainly be met with scoffs. Is cosmic force so easily discerned? All being 8th layer Invincibles, they were well aware of the difficulty in comprehending cosmic force, not knowing how many perils they had faced, or how many miraculous chances they had encountered. Even with extraordinary talent, was it possible to discern cosmic force by merely sitting still and cultivating? But if it were the Galaxy Master? There were enough miracles associated with the Galaxy Master. If it were said that he secluded himself for hundreds to thousands of years and discerned some kind of cosmic force, it might actually be possible. We have no choice now. The Dark Scale Race Sarath said, we have only one opportunity. If the Galaxy Master is hiding on the main star and not coming out, we just have to wait. If we wait thousands of years and the Galaxy Master truly discerns some kind of cosmic force, then the insect race's mission should be considered a failure. Among the 8th layer Invincibles there were differences in strength, but the gap was not large. When 2 8th layer Invincibles battled, it generally ended in a stalemate, and under normal circumstances it was difficult for one to defeat the other. This was why individuals of this power level were known as 8th layer Invincibles. Even if several 8th layer Invincibles ganged up on one, the latter could easily retreat unscathed if they were outmatched. Therefore, in Sarath's view, if the Galaxy Master truly could discern some kind of cosmic force and become an 8th layer Invincible, then their assassination plot would have failed. The memory poison targeted only the mind and memories. It would only be effective if the Galaxy Master lost all capacity to resist completely. Even a 9th rank powerhouse would find it difficult to make an 8th layer Invincible lose their ability to resist entirely, let alone them. Of course, in the eyes of several 8th layer Invincibles, the prospect of the Galaxy Master becoming an 8th layer Invincible was just hopeful, not certain. They watched and waited outside the main star, the likelihood of their success still quite high. On the Milky Way main star, in the palace, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. The talent I've displayed includes stepping into the 8th layer before the age of 100 and an astonishing growth rate. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Before I took office, my teacher warned me that the insect race might attempt an assassination on me. Lin Yuan glanced in the direction of the starry sky. He had spent 100,000 cubic universe crystals to remodel the main star to grade B, not just because as the economic and political center of the star domain the main star's security was vital, but also to make his strongholds as impregnable as a fortress. A grade B planet remodel could easily suppress most 8th layer powerhouses. In terms of defense, it was equally astonishingly strong. Even if a 9th rank powerhouse made a move, it could hold out for a brief moment. If an 8th layer Invincible attacked even a group of them, it could withstand a few breaths' time. For a powerful individual, even a fraction of a moment could allow much to be accomplished. Lin Yuan could completely reveal his true body and avoid direct contact with a 9th rank powerhouse. Chapter 444. And yet, Lin Yuan didn't believe that the insect race would deploy 9th rank powers to assassinate him. Deploying 9th rank combat power would be equivalent to tearing their faces off with human civilization. If the benefits were significant enough, the insect race wouldn't mind doing so, but based on the talent Lin Yuan had currently revealed, he was far from qualified. Therefore, Lin Yuan mainly needed to guard against invincible assassins of the 8th layer. In the face of invincible opponents from the 8th layer, Lin Yuan only needed to hide inside his main star. When Lin Yuan first arrived in the Milky Way star region, he swiftly and decisively cleared the largest unstable elements within the star field. It was to reduce the frequency of his own outings later on. The evolvers of human civilization, upon reaching the 8th layer, must guard the fringe starfield. This is tradition, this is the rule, even the progeny of a supreme being is no exception. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Evolvers below the 8th layer are protected and supported by human civilization. Upon reaching the 8th layer, they need to give back and guard the fringe starfield, which in fact isn't very dangerous. Talents like Lin Yuan, who might be assassinated by different species, are often granted numerous life-saving trump cards before heading to the fringe starfield. The soul-settling pearl that the Xia Qin Supreme Being gave to Lin Yuan was such an item. Even if a supreme being from a different species took action, it could still preserve his chance of resurrection. Of course, if an evolver made a tremendous contribution to human civilization, such as becoming an evolutionary scholar, or nearing the status of evolutionary scholar, they could apply for exemption from the duty of guarding the fringe starfield. But such instances are extremely rare. With the potential that Lin Yuan had revealed, he actually qualified to apply. But if he did, and all other newly promoted 8th layer evolvers were guarding the fringe starfields, while Lin Yuan did not, it would be the same as announcing to the different species that the Galactic Star-Lord had even greater secrets. Once so, even if Lin Yuan hid in the great rear of human civilization, it wouldn't necessarily be absolutely safe. These 10 years. Lin Yuan's thoughts shifted, and a smile appeared on his face. 10 years in the main world allowed Lin Yuan to make rapid progress in all aspects. First and foremost was his understanding of rules of the core models of space rules. Lin Yuan had already comprehended 2,932 types. One must know, 10 years prior, Lin Yuan's understanding of core space models was just over 2,000 types. Over the past 10 years, Lin Yuan had directly comprehended 900 core space models. The difficulty of comprehending these 900 core space models was unknowably higher than that of the initial 900. The 7,782 core space models become increasingly difficult to understand as one progresses, with the difficulty curve rising exponentially. The difficulty of understanding the 2000th core space model was far greater than that of the first. This was reflected in the expansion of his inner world. The later space models, once comprehended, contributed more significantly to the expansion of his inner world. And the 2,932 core space models directly expanded Lin Yuan's inner world to a radius of 2 million miles. This radius of 2 million miles refers to the normal size of an inner world. After the basic amplification by the crimson liquid, Lin Yuan's inner world reached a radius of 6,666 miles. With the basic amplification by the orange-yellow liquid, Lin Yuan's inner world now exceeded 10 million miles in radius. The orange-yellow liquid. Lin Yuan took out the mysterious gourd, which by now was a gray-yellow color and faintly emitted a mysterious aura. Whether it be the initial crimson liquid or the orange-yellow liquid, both provided a basic amplification to the body and the inner world. Compared to the crimson liquid, Lin Yuan absorbed the orange-yellow liquid much more slowly. In 10 years, he had only absorbed a little more than half. Now, the basic amplification of my physical body and inner world has probably reached about 5 times? Lin Yuan estimated in his heart. 3.33 times from the crimson liquid, nearly twice from the orange-yellow liquid. The latter is less than the former because Lin Yuan hasn't fully absorbed the orange-yellow liquid. In theory, if Lin Yuan were to absorb the orange-yellow liquid completely, the final amplification could reach 6.66 times. It's terrifying. Even after more than a decade, Lin Yuan was still amazed by the effects of the mysterious gourd. It provided a basic amplification, not a mere addition or subtraction. Now Lin Yuan's inner world had reached 10 million miles. An inner world of 10 million miles. That's the limit for human evolvers, achievable only at the 8th layer after fully comprehending complete space rules. But fully comprehending complete space rules at the 8th layer was practically impossible, with some 9th rank powerhouses not having achieved it either. Yet Lin Yuan, in a way, had done it. Although he had not comprehended complete space rules, He nevertheless had one of the greatest benefits of doing so. An inner world with a radius of 10 million miles. And the inner world with a radius of 10 million miles was not Lin Yuan's limit. He could continue to increase it by a substantial margin. With an inner world of 10 million miles in radius, my current combat power, even if it's not quite on par with an invincible 8th layer, isn't far off either. Lin Yuan scrutinized himself. According to his speculation, if his inner world reached tens of millions of miles in circumference, even without comprehending some form of cosmic force, he could still forcefully contend with an 8th layer invincible. If his inner world reached hundreds of millions of miles, then he would be able to crush an 8th layer invincible. From time immemorial, the myth that 8th layer invincibles stood unbeatable at their level had belonged to them alone. Yet, as long as Lin Yuan continued to cultivate, he could break this myth. It's a pity that the Taiyin rule is still lacking a bit. Lin Yuan sighed. In the past decade, much of his effort had been placed on absorbing the orange-yellow liquid and understanding space rules, among other things. This caused a delay in fully comprehending the Taiyin rule. Even so, Lin Yuan felt that he was close. Even if he did nothing at all, in at most 2 to 3 years, the Taiyin rule would naturally be comprehended. This is the essence of the complementary nature of yin and yang within the Tao of Taiji. When one side improves, the other side's improvement is a natural consequence. World-breaking origin force. Already 36 strands. Lin Yuan's mind sank into the depths of his mind, looking towards that majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. 10 years ago, the amount of world-breaking origin force Lin Yuan had accumulated was only 17 strands, but now it had risen to 36 strands. At the moment, the Milky Way star region's development is stable, and there's no need for me to do anything, so I can undertake the 8th traversal. Lin Yuan thought. However, for the 8th traversal, Lin Yuan was still somewhat hesitant on how to choose. Lin Yuan's gaze shifted, looking towards a certain direction of the main star. There was a mountain peak where Ruanwei, the 8th rank evolver who had actively come to follow Lin Yuan more than a decade ago, resided. At this moment, Ruanwei stood on the mountain peak, with the space around her faintly distorting. A sign that she was trying to comprehend the core space model. Wrong. The direction is wrong. Lin Yuan immediately spotted the issue with Ruanwei's approach. The space rules are vast and boundless, and the 7,782 core space models summed up by the predecessors of human civilization only explain some aspects of the essence of space rules. Each person who comprehends the core space models may derive different insights. Well then, Lin Yuan decided and vanished from the palace. Space? What exactly is space? Ruanwei's eyebrows were tightly furrowed, and her aura began to destabilize subtly. At that moment, Lin Yuan appeared. He pointed a finger at Ruanwei's brow. In an instant, the space fluctuations around them slowly dissipated, and the unstable aura within Ruanwei gradually stabilized. Star Lord. Ruanwei came to her senses and immediately saluted Lin Yuan with gratitude. Space is everything. Lin Yuan shook his head and spoke. As someone who had already comprehended nearly 3,000 core space models, Lin Yuan was fully qualified to correct Ruanwei's deviation. Space is everything? Ruanwei looked slightly bewildered. Space encompasses all. What you see as space is only an insignificant part. The cosmic starry sky, layer upon layer of space, is almost endless. When you comprehend space rules, never try to concretize space. Otherwise, it's easy to go astray, Lin Yuan cautioned. For evolvers trying to comprehend space rules, it's like a blind man feeling an elephant. No concrete standards exist, but assuming that space is like the elephant's leg just because one felt it would be a huge mistake. Thank you, Star Lord. Ruanwei felt inspired and bowed excitedly. She had been trying hard to sense the space rules, attempting to imagine what they looked like, not realizing she had been venturing into forbidden territory. Once she truly fixed a specific image of space in her mind, going forward, it would be very difficult for her to make further progress in the space rules. Although Lin Yuan had only casually reminded her, without a doubt, he had steered Ruanwei back onto the broadest path of the Great Tao. This was one reason why many evolvers were willing to follow a strong leader. Often, just one piece of guidance from a strong being could pull them out of a dead end. One sentence might change a lifetime. Chapter 445 Eighth Shuttle. Advising Ruanwei was indeed a casual act for Lin Yuan. For over a decade, Ruanwei had been hustling around for the matters of the Milky Way star region. Lin Yuan had observed all this, and now realizing that the other party was on the wrong path, he didn't mind pulling him back. After all, for Lin Yuan it was just a matter of a few words, without costing him anything. He was just tired from his cultivation. It was merely a small effort. After wandering around outside for a while, Lin Yuan then returned to the palace. Lin Yuan connected his consciousness to the virtual world and arrived at the top of a mountain. Under the vault of the sky, that part of the body still existed, as if it had never changed through the ages. Continue to ponder. Lin Yuan scanned his surroundings. Many evolvers had started to attempt to cease their cultivation in favor of comprehending more evolution paths. But this group of evolvers only constituted a tiny minority, having to endure tremendous pressure from their spirit will and to comprehend various evolution paths. Even with his against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan had spent quite some time achieving this. Other talented evolvers aiming to tread this path could not say it was utterly impossible. But that was a matter for many years later. This was also why when Lin Yuan told the Goddess of Wisdom about this method of comprehension, he only received 1,500,000 merit points in return. It was too difficult, just like giving an emperor a set of blueprints for a nuclear power plant during the feudal dynasty era. Honestly, Lin Yuan still felt that choosing to cultivate a certain evolution path and perfecting it to the final stage to become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower was more reliable. This evolution path, life rules also have this aspect? Marvelous! Lin Yuan continued to ponder, comprehending one evolution path after another, dissecting them, and realizing the parts that were helpful to him. Over the past decade, Lin Yuan had understood more than 20,000 kinds of evolution paths from this body segment, each evolution path greatly benefiting him. Just a part of the body contains nearly myriad evolution paths. Is this what a supreme being is? I wonder when Lin Yuan, can become such an existence? Throughout his continuous comprehension, Lin Yuan gradually sensed the heights at which the supreme being stood. It was incredible. That kind of ultimate control over a path, an eternal existence that even time couldn't erode, what kind of scenery would that be? Lin Yuan had also seen the Xiaqin Supreme Being, but the latter did not release any useful aura. Lin Yuan did not discern anything from him. This body segment, merely a projection through the virtual world, really creates unnaturally strong impacts on the outside world, Lin Yuan thought while continuing to ponder. Just a next stage member of the Magic Jade Tower, how many kinds of evolution paths do I need to comprehend thoroughly? I've already figured out more than 20,000, and it hasn't triggered yet? Could it be that I need 333,333 kinds? Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. To thoroughly comprehend 3,333 evolution paths and automatically become an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower. Lin Yuan had already figured out more than 20,000 kinds of evolution paths, and there was reason to speculate that the next stage members of the Magic Jade Tower required 333,333 kinds of evolution paths. Over 30,000 kinds of evolution paths. Although it's 10 times 3,333, the difficulty absolutely increased exponentially. Lin Yuan even doubted whether being an ordinary member of the Magic Jade Tower was already the limit, with no further stages of membership levels. It doesn't matter. 30,000 kinds or 300,000 kinds. As long as they help me, I will continue to comprehend. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and entered a deep state of contemplation. Songlan Star Virtual World. Lin Yuan's figure appeared. His parents and sister were already sitting there. Xiao Yuan. Mother Lu Qiong greeted him with a smile. Brother. Lin Yi looked up in admiration. 10 years had passed, and Lin Yi had grown up, accessing many matters of the upper echelons of the human civilization thanks to her relationship with Lin Yuan. This made her aware of her brother's extraordinary existence. He was a super-exceptional genius, dazzling across the entire human civilization alliance, competing with the offspring of supreme beings. Because of Lin Yuan, Kanglan Star, an inconspicuous middle-grade life planet, leaped to become a hot star in both the Chikuan star domain and the Annan star alliance. Many powerful families from various star domains specially sent their descendants to Kanglan Star to expand their progeny. If Kanglan Star could give birth to a super-exceptional genius like Lin Yuan, it indicated its special characteristics. Otherwise, why hadn't the higher-grade life planets given birth to such a super-exceptional genius like Lin Yuan? This was the reason why the most popular industry on Kanglan Star turned out to be the fertility industry. Having their offspring born on Kanglan Star, even with a 1 in a billion chance, as long as they could produce descendants with 1/millionth of the capability of a galactic star master, it was worth it. "How's your cultivation going recently?" Lin Yuan chatted casually with his parents. After stepping into the 8th layer, Lin Yuan began to pay attention to the cultivation status of his family members, even occasionally offering advice. His purpose in doing so, naturally, was to hope that his parents and sister could live longer. With the advanced technology of human civilization, even if one did not become an evolver, there were many ways to prolong life. But among all the methods to extend life, evolution, that is, becoming an evolver, was the most perfect and had the least side effects. "Our aptitude is probably not very good, Xiaoyuan. We need a long time to comprehend those analysis videos you provided," said Father Lin Shoqing, shaking his head. In the beginning, he had high hopes for the path of evolution, thinking he could produce a super genius like Lin Yuan. Chapter 446. At the very least, the genetic stock of the Lin family should be decent, right? But when the time truly came to step onto the path of evolution, it was unsurprisingly met with a fatal blow. Seeing that Lu Qiong also struggled with cultivation, Lin Shoqing didn't know why, but he felt slightly relieved. "Still, we need to make an effort," Lin Yuan said. Unless absolutely necessary, Lin Yuan would not let his parents undergo that life-extending transformation technology. "Work hard, work hard. Both of us will definitely make an effort." Lin Shoqing nodded. Who wouldn't want to become a powerful evolver traversing the stars? Now that his own son had become a Star Lord, the cultivation conditions of the two of them were envied by many evolvers. Naturally, they would cultivate diligently. "Xiaoyuan, you should also rest more often. Don't work too hard. The fringe starfield is also dangerous." After chatting for a bit, Lu Qiong reminded him with concern. "Yes, Xiaoyuan, is it really necessary to go to that fringe starfield?" Lin Shoqing muttered. He still hoped that his son would stay in the Chikuan star domain. How dangerous is the fringe starfield? Those violent different species. It is indeed essential. Lin Yuan nodded with a smile. In fact, with Lin Yuan's current identity, especially as the founder of Martial Tao, he was eligible to apply to be exempted from the task of garrisoning the fringe starfield. Though the Martial Path evolutionary path was currently at the 7th rank, its potential was rated higher than some 8th-layer evolutionary paths. Lin Yuan was not an evolution scholar, yet he surpassed one. If he really applied to the Goddess of Wisdom, it would surely be approved. However, that would be too conspicuous. Lin Yuan obediently heading to the fringe starfield to garrison, even if he was targeted for assassination by different species, at most he would be invincible up to the 8th layer. But if Lin Yuan did not garrison the fringe starfield, who knows what would happen? The top seers among the different species would likely discern some information from traces. At that time, Lin Yuan might face an even more dangerous situation. Even the Chikuan Star Lord might not be able to protect him. After chatting with his parents for a while as usual, Lin Yuan's consciousness returned to reality. Door to the myriad realms. Lin Yuan's mind sank into the depths of his mind again, gazing at the majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. Actually, after stepping into the 8th layer, the door to the myriad realms is not without change. Lin Yuan observed the door to the myriad realms carefully. At the 8th layer, his spirit will experience a significant enhancement. He vaguely felt that even if he performed traversals, arriving in other dimensions, other worlds. With the aid of the door to the myriad realms, he could still establish a connection with the main world, instantly sensing everything happening around his physical body in the main world. This was essentially similar to Lin Yuan receiving information transmitted by the ancestral demon tree through the coordinates of the Tianqing world. If relying on Lin Yuan alone, it would be impossible to sense across dimensional layers to the other side. Probably even a supreme being could not do it. But with the aid of the door to the myriad realms, having this object as a medium, such a feat could be achieved. This is also good. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. During traversal, sensing every little detail around his physical body in the main world was definitely a good thing. Traversing to a lower-level world where the flow of time was immense, decades might pass there, while maybe only a few minutes gone by in the main world. But as the number of traversals increased, the levels of the worlds Lin Yuan arrived at became higher, and the flow of time relative to the main world gradually reduced, resulting in the traversal duration becoming increasingly longer. What if a crisis occurred in the main world during Lin Yuan's traversal? Wouldn't he be powerless to resist? Being able to sense the information around his physical self, however, gave Lin Yuan the opportunity to make a choice. If a major crisis really occurred in the main world, possibly endangering his physical body, Lin Yuan would surely end the traversal forcibly, his spirit will returning to take over his body. Compared to losing one traversal, Lin Yuan valued his physical body more. Not to mention the price Lin Yuan had paid on this physical body. Simply because the physical body was the spirit will's guiding mark upon return, Lin Yuan would not allow anything to happen to it. I wonder if I can bring the gourd along on the traversal. With a thought, Lin Yuan began to communicate with the door to the myriad realms. The door to the myriad realms allowed for physical travel. Naturally, it could also transport items. It only required a certain amount of world-breaking origin force. During his 7th traversal, Lin Yuan had brought origin fine gold into the Tianqing world and placed it within the world's origin source for cultivation, saving him hundreds of years. The gourd was also an external object which, logically, could be taken through the interdimensional travels. Can it also for a strand of world-breaking origin force? Lin Yuan sighed in relief, not doubting whether the gourd could be transported but concerned that the door to the myriad realms would demand 10 or even dozens of strands of world-breaking origin force from him. Just a single strand of world-breaking origin force. Lin Yuan smiled faintly, now possessing nearly 40 strands of world-breaking origin force, which made him quite wealthy. I have nearly settled all matters. It's time for the 8th traversal. Lin Yuan collected his thoughts and made a decision. Each traversal significantly enhanced his strength. Being in the fringe starfield, Lin Yuan inevitably felt insecure and urgently needed to increase his strength. Which traversal method should I choose? Lin Yuan pondered internally. Firstly, the random traversal method was somewhat unstable for Lin Yuan at present. It was better avoided if possible. Excluding random traversal, the only option left was targeted traversal. There were 2 types of targeted traversal. The first required 100 strands of world-breaking origin force and allowed choosing the travel world based on personal requirements. The 100 strands mentioned were just the starting point. If the chosen world's tier was too high, the consumption of world-breaking origin force would only be higher. The second type required 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to descend into a world where he had coordinates. Among the world coordinates Lin Yuan had, only 2 were worth revisiting. One was the Tianqing world. The other was the spirit realm. The Tianqing world was his destination during the 7th traversal, where he had yet to thoroughly explore the boundless void. Meanwhile, the spirit realm was considered the upper realm of the central divine China world. Let's traverse to the spirit realm this time, Lin Yuan decided, knowing the immortal cultivation system would significantly aid the martial path evolutionary path, whereas encountering foreign evil gods in the boundless void was comparatively less beneficial. Thinking this, Lin Yuan sent a sliver of his spirit through the base of the door to the myriad realms, integrating the spirit realm world coordinates into the door. With the assistance of the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan arrived outside a vast and immense world. This world was familiar to Lin Yuan. During his time in the central divine continent, He had broken through the void several times to look upon this colossal entity from the outside. Compared to looking up at it back then, the sight was now much clearer. The mighty world forces in operation seemed capable of crushing everything. Are those million minor worlds beneath the spirit realm? Lin Yuan looked downward and saw countless lights, which he assumed were similar to the lower realms of Central Divine Continent. It is said there are more than 1,000,000 such lower realms. Above. Upon observing the spirit realm, Lin Yuan subconsciously looked upward. He indeed spotted a corner of an even more vast world. Is there another world? Could it be the legendary immortal realm? Lin Yuan was startled. In the numerous secret texts of the Taoist immortal sect in the Central Divine Continent, he had read about another immortal realm above the spirit realm. Let's focus on the spirit realm. Lin Yuan's strand of spirit dispersed. Outside the door to the myriad realms, Lin Yuan once again opened his eyes. The immortal realm? Could that be the ultimate location of the immortal cultivation system? Lin Yuan thought to himself. He knew little about the immortal realm. To be precise, the Taoist immortal sect had scant records of it. If it weren't for the occasional descents and communications of the immortals of successive generations, they probably wouldn't have any records of the immortal realm at all. My stay in the spirit realm will likely last around 900 years. Comparing time flow rates, about several hundred to one. After completing the stay, about 1 or 2 years would have passed in the main world. Lin Yuan planned accordingly. Let's start. Without hesitation, Lin Yuan communicated with the door to the myriad realms, activated the spirit realm's world coordinates, and his willpower abruptly surged into the door. Chapter 447 Martial Ancestors Divine Radiance. Confused and disoriented. Lost in a haze. By the time Lin Yuan's consciousness revived, he found himself lying on a bed. It's a person. Lin Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. With the experience of his sixth traversal, Lin Yuan realized the vessel for his travel was not necessarily a human, it could be other species as well. Although there was nothing wrong with other forms of life, a human body offered Lin Yuan boundless possibilities. If he were to traverse into some special beings, he probably wouldn't even be able to practice martial Tao. My current situation. Lin Yuan began to sift through the original body's memories. He had successfully arrived in the spirit realm, currently in Xianyao City, Shenwang Domain, Dongyun Province. Dongyun Province? Shenwang Domain? Basic information about the spirit realm floated through Lin Yuan's mind. He learned all this from the Taoist immortal sect. The spirit realm was vast and endless, and its most prosperous areas housed 3,000 Tao provinces. Dongyun Tao Province was one of these 3,000. Dongyun Tao Province encompassed more than 20,000 great realms, among which the Shenwang Domain was one. Shenwang Domain? Lin Yuan pondered thoughtfully. If he remembered correctly, the Taoist immortal sect was located in the Shenwang Domain, one of the 3 giants of this great realm. Didn't expect this kind of start. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The Taoist immortal sect here was naturally the force established by a true immortal ancestor of the Central Divine China's Taoist immortal sect. Xianyao City. Lin Yuan's expression turned strange. The original body's memories revealed another name for Xianyao City. Wuzhu City. A city demarcated by a significant figure from the Taoist immortal sect. Most of the cultivators in Wuzhu City didn't practice the immortal cultivation system, but the martial Tao cultivation system. Martial Tao. Lin Yuan was almost certain that this martial Tao was the one he had spread in Central Divine China back in the day. In dealings with Cangqing Immortal, Lin Yuan proposed that the martial Tao cultivators in the further ages of the Central Earth world, if able to reach the 6th stage, could also use the ascension platform to ascend to the spirit realm. It seemed now that Cangqing Immortal had kept his promise. At least several 100,000 years have passed. Lin Yuan silently thought. After his 6th traversal, he had undergone his 7th traversal, and also practiced in the main world for some time, although totaling no more than 30 years. But those were 30 years of the main world. With the significant differences in time flow between the 2 worlds, no less than several 100,000 years must have passed in the Central Divine China world. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the emergence of the 6th rank martial Tao, nor the founding of Xianyao City after ascending to the spirit realm. Xianyao City. Wuzhou City. Lin Yuan's expression turned strange. During his sixth traversal, he had spread martial Tao and was known as the ancestor of martial arts, in addition to being called Jun Xiaoyao. Lin Yuan speculated that this Xianyao City might have been established by a few disciples he had taken in back then. Otherwise, the coincidence was too great. Wonder if I can still see those old friends. Lin Yuan's thoughts drifted. According to the plans he had made before he left, it wouldn't be hard for his parents and elder siblings to attain the 6th rank. It's very likely they also ascended to the spirit realm. It's just unknown if they are still alive now. Merely having 6th rank, refined void stage strength, they might not have survived hundreds of thousands of years. My current identity is the eldest young master of the Lin family, and the Lin family is a somewhat famous family in Xianyao City. Lin Yuan sat up from the bed and took a deep breath. Such abundant spiritual energy. Lin Yuan inwardly marveled. There were no spirit veins near Xianyao City. As within this city, cultivators of martial Tao occupied a majority. The demand for spirit veins was not as indispensable as it was for those who followed the immortal cultivation system. Yet even so, the concentration of spiritual energy Lin Yuan felt was no less than that of Mount Morality Immortal, which occupied the largest spirit vein of the central divine China world. No wonder those ancient saints of refined void all yearned to ascend to the spirit realm, with such an environment for cultivation. Lin Yuan could not help but shake his head. This was just Xianyao City. If he were in those sacred lands of cultivation, the richness of the spiritual energy would only be higher. It would even begin to transform into a higher form of energy. The immortal qi, only existent in the legends of central divine China. Am I also practicing martial Tao with this body? Lin Yuan carefully sensed his own body and concluded so. To enter the immortal cultivation system, one must have a spirit root. That is an ironclad rule. But even in the spirit realm, the vast majority of beings still possess no spirit root, and most of those who do have a spirit root are of low quality. If they barely step into the qi cultivation stage, at most they would stop at foundation establishment. This was the foothold for Xianyao City. The martial Tao cultivation system has no requirement regarding spirit roots. As long as your blood and qi are abundant, you can cultivate. That brought hope to a significant portion of ordinary people without spirit roots. Even some cultivators with low-quality spirit roots, upon realizing they had significant talent in martial Tao, would switch their practice to martial Tao. Overall, today's martial Tao cultivation system is just a more niche system of cultivation, circulating only within the Shenhuang domain, and unknown outside of it. That's quite normal. Although martial Tao doesn't require a spirit root, its upper limit is far below that of Immortal Path. Naturally, cultivators with potential would first choose Immortal Path, and only consider martial Tao after realizing there was no hope in Immortal Path. If one can cultivate immortality, who would practice martial arts? Before I left behind 12 ways to break through to the 7th rank martial Tao. These methods weren't perfect and could hardly compete with Tao integration stage of the Immortal Path. Lin Yuan silently thought. Currently, the 7th rank he was cultivating was the perfect 7th rank, integrated and perfected in the main world. Chapter 448. Much stronger than the 12 7th rank paths left in Central Divine Continent. And even so, the 7th rank is the upper limit on the martial Tao path, and naturally it's far inferior when compared to the immortal cultivation system with its boundless potential. Xianyao City is under the protection of Dao Immortal Sect, and there are many families within the city at present, but the strongest is still the Martial Temple. Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. The Martial Temple is the sacred ground of Xianyao City, said to be related to the martial ancestor. At the founding of Xianyao City, several practitioners at the 7th stage of martial Tao joined hands to establish the Martial Temple, promoting the martial Tao cultivation system until today. Without the foundation of the Martial Temple continuously cultivating martial Tao cultivators, whether the martial Tao cultivation system would still exist is a matter of debate. What I need to do first now is to improve my strength. Lin Yuan's thoughts converged. This body also practiced martial Tao, but the realm was too low. It hadn't even entered the Grand Master realm, not to mention stepping into the 2nd layer, there was still a long way to go to complete the first rank. After a brief cultivation session, having corrected many mistakes in the original owner's cultivation, Lin Yuan stepped out of the room. Martial Tao is not like the immortal path. It doesn't have an indispensable thirst for spiritual energy, but that doesn't mean that cultivation of Martial Tao doesn't need resources. On the contrary, Martial Tao has a great demand for resources, especially at the 6th rank, where one needs to open an inner world, consuming resources that can be described as vast as mountains and seas. Of course, opening the inner world at the peak of the 6th rank, Lin Yuan's creation of the perfect 7th stage path, has led the Martial Tao cultivation system in the spirit realm to stop at the 7th rank. Without Lin Yuan's further contributions, being able to stay intact is already good enough. The vastness of the spirit realm with the immortal cultivation system occupying the mainstream spot, alongside many other cultivation systems, makes the presence of Martial Tao rather unremarkable. Lin Yuan walked out of the courtyard and was quickly spotted by a maid. "Young master, you're awake?" This maid had the strength of the foundation establishment stage and was cultivated by the Lin family from a young age. Even a family with roots in Xianyao City like the Lin family preferred the immortal cultivation system at heart. Soon, Lin Yuan's parents rushed over. "Chong heir, are you all right?" A beautiful woman approached and, after carefully examining Lin Yuan, said with joy on her face, "How do you feel now?" "Not bad." Lin Yuan nodded. According to memory, the original owner loved the Martial Tao cultivation system very much, but unfortunately, due to being impatient for quick success, he encountered problems during cultivation and fell into a coma. As a result, Lin Yuan's consciousness gradually awakened. "Chong heir, you have a spirit root. Even if it's just a triple spirit root, you can cultivate on the immortal path. Why fixate on Martial Tao?" The original owner's father, named Lin Jianpain, started the Lin family from scratch and is considered a model of success in Xianyao City. With more than 10 branches of the Lin family business in Xianyao City, Lin Jianpain was well informed and knew the advantages of the immortal cultivation system were far superior to Martial Tao. Beyond the Shenwang domain, among the 3,000 Dao states, the real stage is occupied by those proud children who cultivate the immortal cultivation system. Lin Jianpain didn't have high hopes for his son, but at the very least, he didn't want him to suffer through Martial Tao. Practicing Martial Tao requires physical and body refining, and the torment suffered is definitely greater than that of cultivating on the immortal path. "I like Martial Tao," Lin Yuan said casually. This was also the original owner's thought. Now that Lin Yuan's consciousness had awakened, he had no doubts about cultivating Martial Tao. As for the immortal path, it could indeed be of reference later on, but his foundation would definitely remain in Martial Tao. "You like Martial Tao?" Lin Jianpain was somewhat worried. His son was good at everything and had been extremely sensible since he was a child, but he was very stubborn. Once he decided on something, no one could pull him back. Most of those who practiced Martial Tao did so because they either had no spirit root or their spirit root quality was too low, and they had no choice but to choose Martial Tao. But Lin Yuan, though the triple spirit root talent was not strong, it wasn't weak either. With a bit of luck, he might well step into the golden core stage. The Lin Jianpain raised his right hand, and suddenly a figure emerged from the shadows. "Take some of those century-old, millennium-old blood spirit Ganoderma, white jade ginseng, and other spiritual medicines from the various branches, and give them to Chong heir for cultivation." In the early stages of Martial Tao cultivation, the primary focus is on forging the body and blood, and this stage can actually be shortened through external means. "Yes." The figure named Ada bowed slightly. "The Lin Yuan glanced at the figure standing behind Lin Jianpain. 3rd rank of Martial Tao? Lin Yuan thought to himself. In Xianyao City, the number of Martial Tao cultivators is the greatest. Although Lin Jianpain is reluctant to have his own son practice Martial Tao. In fact, compared to the immortal path, the Martial Tao cultivation system still has a significant influence in the Shenwang domain. After all, it has produced several 7th-stage Martial Taoists who can be considered on par with Unity Realm true immortals. Lin Jianpain was worried that his son might neither understand Martial Tao cultivation completely, nor ruin his health by practicing incorrectly. Son, ponder on your martial Tao well. Your father will find you a master in the next few days. Lin Jianping patted Lin Yuan on the shoulder, then left with the beautiful woman. Find a master? Lin Yuan thought about it and decided not to refuse. Given the previous instance where he fainted from training too hard, if he were to refuse again, it would probably cause his parents to worry. Lin Jianping brought the beautiful woman to a grand hall. The beautiful woman, Shen Zhan, gave Lin Jianping a sideways glance. What kind of master do you intend to find for Chang'er? In Xianyao City, although martial Tao cultivators are as plentiful as carps crossing the river, true martial Tao experts are scarce. Those of the 4th stage and above can be counted on one's fingers. If my son, Lin Jianping, wishes to practice martial Tao, he must certainly have the best. After contemplation, Lin Jianping made a decision. I plan to send Chang'er to the martial temple to experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance. Martial ancestors' divine radiance? Xinjin blinked, then quickly realized, all right, old Lin, are you really willing to part with that much? Undoubtedly, the place where martial Tao cultivators are most concentrated in the whole of Xianyao City is the martial temple. As the foundation for martial Tao cultivators, the few 7th stage martial Tao experts who established the martial temple intended to ensure the continuation of the martial Tao cultivation system legacy, and specially left behind several streaks of divine radiance. These streaks of divine radiance expound on the essence of martial Tao as understood by this group of 7th stage martial Taoists, which is also associated with the mysterious martial ancestor. Hence, it is known as the martial ancestor's divine radiance. The martial ancestor's divine radiance serves 2 purposes. One is to let the experiencer closely feel the essence understood by the 7th stage martial Taoists. The second is to determine which aspect of the martial Tao cultivation system the experiencer specializes in. Especially the first purpose, it's equivalent to receiving indirect guidance from those few 7th stage martial Tao experts. 7th stage martial Tao experts, shoulder to shoulder with Unity Realm true immortals, stand as significant figures overlooking the Shenhuang domain at this level, regardless of whether they are cultivators of the immortal path or not. Of course, to enter the martial temple and comprehend the martial ancestor's divine radiance, one must either possess astonishing talent to get the temple's attention, or otherwise, one has to find a back door. So-called backdoor entry essentially means paying an extra price to get the chance to follow behind a disciple with astonishing martial talent, to also experience the radiance. To get a share of the remaining martial ancestor's divine radiance left by others. Still, with the Lin family scale, for Lin Yuan to experience the martial ancestor's divine radiance even once would probably cost the family a significant portion of their wealth. This is still with the Lin family having established roots in Xianyao City for many years. Otherwise, outside forces would not even have the opportunity to find a back door. Name: Lin Chang Lin Yuan. Identity: holder of the door to the myriad realms gate. Bound talent: heaven-defying comprehension. Divine power: blood resurrection. Current status: consciousness descent. Remaining residence time: 920 years. In the room, Lin Yuan glanced at the ethereal characters in the bottom left corner of his vision. This stay is for 920 years? Lin Yuan was quite satisfied in his heart. Such a long time should be enough to nearly establish the 8th stage martial Tao. I'm still too weak now. To recover to the 8th layer level, I'll need a substantial amount of resources. Lin Yuan grabbed a large half-millennium Ganoderma and swallowed it, his body quickly absorbing the surging essence. From the 1st to 6th rank, there's no need to worry, but the 6th rank peak? 7th rank? That requires creating an inner world, and for that, I must rely on a great amount of resources. In the main world, Lin Yuan had used countless tons of scarlet spirit liquid to create his inner world. Forget it. Let's take it one step at a time. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and continued his cultivation. Chapter 449 I am the martial ancestor. Feel the divine radiance. Several days later, Lin Yuan was still cultivating, when his mother, Xinjun, dragged him out of his room. Chang'er, I'm taking you to a good place, said Mother Shenzhen with a hint of mystery in her voice. A good place. Lin Yuan felt quite helpless in his heart. Soon, the two of them went outside. Father Lin Jianping had been waiting for a long time. His face was full of solemnity. This time we are going to the martial temple, he said. Chang'er, once you're there, you must not cause any trouble, Lin Jianping instructed. Although the martial Tao cultivation system was far less influential than the immortal cultivation system. In Xianyao City, the martial temple was the only heaven, controlling everything, commanding everything. Even looking across the Shenhuang domain, the martial temple was one of the most powerful forces under the banner of the Morality Immortal sect, with several seventh-stage martial Tao individuals whose combat power was not the least bit inferior to ordinary Unity Realm true immortals. The martial temple? Lin Yuan's heart stirred slightly. He had long speculated that the martial temple must have been established by the disciples he had taken on in the past, such as Li Qing and others. His purpose was to ensure the heritage of the martial Tao cultivation system. The center of Xianyao City, the towering Shaoyao Mountain. This was the location of the martial temple, the very heart of the entire Xianyao City. Those seventh-stage martial Tao founders of the martial temple were often at war for the Morality Immortal sect, and the strongest within the martial temple were only at the sixth-stage martial Tao, but that was enough to look down upon the entire Xianyao City. Among tens of thousands of cities in the Shenhuang domain, Xianyao City ranked in the top 100. And that was because of the presence of the martial temple. Just then, a spirit vessel flew near. Lin Jianping, Lin Yuan, and the others stepped out. Elder of the martial temple. My son wishes to experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance. Lin Jianping pulled out a token. It was bronze in color, with the character martial written on it. Go ahead, said the guards at the entrance to Shaoyao Mountain after scanning the token. They opened the great formation. Seeing this, Lin Jianping once again thanked them and then led Lin Yuan and Shenzhen inside. Another one using connections. The guards sneered after Lin Jianping and the others had disappeared. Ever since the establishment of Xianyao City, every so often, many would come to experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance. Among these people, a very small portion came because of their astonishing martial talent and were invited by the martial temple to experience the divine radiance. But the majority were there to freeload the divine radiance. The higher-ups of the martial temple did not interfere with this, first, because it contributed to the income of the martial temple, and second, because it had no impact on themselves. Once the martial ancestors' divine radiance was activated, the divine radiance would envelop the area for a fixed time, prioritizing those disciples with astonishing martial talent to experience it first. They would go first and then the rest would follow. Having connections also requires strength to use those connections, sighed another guard. To experience the guidance of the martial ancestors' divine radiance, indirectly receiving the guidance of a martial Tao expert on a par with true immortals. Wouldn't you want that? Said the guard, shaking his head. Of course I would, replied the first guard after a moment of silence, admitting the truth. The guidance of a powerful figure was too important. Especially since the martial ancestors' divine radiance not only provided guidance but could also determine the aspects of martial Tao the experiencer excelled in. Shaoyao Mountain. At first glance, Lin Yuan saw a massive mountain peak, with thin strands of aura scattered throughout the air, clearly indicating that outsiders daring to intrude would be suppressed by forces from all around the very first moment. Combining martial Tao methods with immortal Tao formations. This is interesting, Lin Yuan observed, discerning much of the essence of Shaoyao Mountain with just a glance. Chang'er, don't look around so much. Lin Jianping saw Lin Yuan's gaze and quickly reminded him. Inside Shaoyao Mountain, figures from the martial temple would pass by from time to time. If Lin Yuan's gaze attracted the attention of one of these prominent individuals, it would be an unwarranted disaster. The group followed the path and soon arrived at a teleportation formation. Given the vastness of Shaoyao Mountain, reaching the martial temple at the summit would take at least half a day, so there were usually teleportation arrays at the foot of the mountain. With an indication from a martial temple disciple. Lin Yuan and the other two stepped into the teleportation formation and in a flash, arrived at the summit. There are quite a few people here. Xinjin curiously looked around. She noticed many people gathered in small groups, conversing in low tones. In the distance, a massive wall stood erect. That was where the martial ancestors' divine radiance was activated. It was currently in a closed state, and no one was allowed to enter. It's not just us who have come to experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance. Xianyao City is so big, many powerful families send their scions whenever the martial ancestors' divine radiance is activated. Lin Jianping said in a low voice. The Lin family was only somewhat well known in Xianyao City, which was nothing compared to the real power players. For Lin Yuan to experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance just once, the Lin family had to spend nearly all of its wealth, but for those real power players, sending a group of clan members to experience it was routine every time it was activated. Lin Yuan just listened at the side. Most of his attention, however, was concentrated beyond that wall. Martial ancestors' divine radiance? Lin Yuan had some guesses in his mind. Before leaving the central divine China world, he had left behind 7 statues with engravings of brief insights into martial Tao. As Lin Yuan pondered, the large doors in the center of the distant huge wall slowly opened. An elderly man in a black robe walked out. The martial ancestors' divine radiance will soon envelop us. Those whose names are called, enter and experience. The black-robed elder said succinctly and directly. Ouyang Song. The black-robed elder called out again. It's me. A young man stood up, striding into the door. Experience it well. The black-robed elder showed appreciation and advised. Chapter 450. Ouyang Song. Is he the genius with the greatest martial talent in Xianyao City over the past 50 years? It is said that Ouyang Song has comprehended the power of thunder, a force renowned for its lethality. Other people began whispering among themselves. Most of them had brought their descendants through back doors, none of whom could compare to Ouyang Song in terms of martial talent. Atop Shaoyao Mountain, at another location, several figures were sitting cross-legged, staring at the location enveloped by the martial ancestors' divine radiance. I hope that the opening of the martial ancestors' divine radiance this time can bring a few talented individuals to our martial temple. The leading figure sighed and slowly said. The martial ancestors' divine radiance contains the insights into martial Tao from 3 venerable elders, in addition to the interpretations of that martial ancestor. Any cultivator, as long as they cultivate martial Tao and experience the martial ancestors' divine radiance, will inevitably gain something. The second figure spoke. That martial ancestor. The other few, upon hearing these words, appeared slightly somber. They had heard of the name of the martial ancestor from the mouths of 3 7th-stage martial Tao elders. The martial Tao cultivation system today, in its current scale, is the result of negotiations between that martial ancestor and a true immortal from the Tao Immortal sect. However, from the beginning to the end, all the martial Tao cultivators of the martial temple had never seen the martial ancestor. On the plaza below, the many who came through back doors to experience the martial ancestor's divine radiance start interacting while waiting. This martial ancestor's divine radiance, left by 3 martial Tao experts of the martial temple comparable to true immortals, actually originates from the martial ancestor. Exactly. Otherwise, why name it martial ancestor's divine radiance? Martial ancestor? I've heard this name but never heard any specific deeds. I thought it was made up. Could such a person really exist? Ha ha ha, I do know a bit about this. Today's 3 mighty figures from the martial temple, comparable to true immortals, ascended from the lower realms. And that martial ancestor was the master of these 3 7th-stage martial Tao powerhouses in the lower realms. The master of 3 true immortals? What realm is the martial ancestor in now? Not sure. Those 3 of the 7th rank, after ascending, once sought the martial ancestor, but it all came to nothing in the end. Perhaps that martial ancestor did not ascend, or perhaps he did ascend but got trapped somewhere. The spirit realm is boundless with various dangers everywhere. It's very normal. Many discussions followed. Lin Jianping remained silent. Martial ancestor is an incredible being, Lin Jianping finally spoke after a long time. You don't even know the martial ancestor. How do you know he's incredible? Xinjin glanced at Lin Jianping. That you just don't understand. Lin Jianping shook his head. Martial ancestor? Lin Yuan was listening on the side. 3 7th stage martial Dao? Is it Li Qing? Or other disciples? Lin Yuan pondered in his mind. The white jade pavilion he had established had taken in hundreds of disciples, personally teaching them martial Dao. But those who were hopeful of stepping into the 7th rank weren't many, just a few. At another location on the mountaintop, several high-ranking officials of the martial temple were observing the martial ancestor's divine radiance. Martial Dao prodigy Ouyang Song sat cross-legged, closely feeling the divine radiance emitted by the 7 statues in front of him, his expression shifting unpredictably. A moment later, from the 7 statues, the first one on the left emitted 30% of its light. Martial Dao prodigy Ouyang Song suddenly opened his eyes, gasping for air. Not bad. This statue symbolizes the way of slaying. 30% of the radiance is quite good. Xianyao City hasn't seen such a talent in 100 years. The leading figure nodded in approval. These 7 statues, embodying different aspects of martial Dao, could help the experiencer choose their future path. As for the emitted light, it was testing the experiencer's compatibility with martial Dao. 30% light was considered rare. Admit Ouyang Song as an inner sect disciple. Focus on cultivating him. Another figure spoke. Inner sect disciple? Acceptable. If it reached 40% light, he could completely be taken as a core disciple. What a pity. Being an inner sect disciple is also not bad. He has prospects of advancing to the 4th stage martial Dao. Several figures discussed for a while and finally made a decision. Next, one by one, martial Dao prodigies experienced the martial ancestor's divine radiance. Ultimately, 3 became martial temple inner sect disciples, 1 became a core disciple, and 6 became ordinary disciples. In conclusion, the spectacle of the martial ancestor's divine radiance could essentially be considered as ended. As for those still queuing up to experience the divine radiance, they were mostly backdoor entries, far from meeting the qualifications to be admitted into the martial temple. However, the divine radiance of the martial ancestor was extremely special. Even without any martial talent, just coming into contact with it could still provide a significant boost to one's abilities. Facing the martial ancestor's divine radiance, there were no prerequisites. Even cultivators on the immortal path could feel its effects. It's my turn, it's my turn. Hurry up in front. The divine radiance is about to extinguish. Those who had entered through the back door to experience the divine radiance began urging each other on. Those martial prodigies who felt the divine radiance did not dare to utter half a word, for even a single interjection could result in their expulsion from the martial temple. But now, those entering were all backdoor entrants. With the time of exposure to the divine radiance being fixed, naturally it was better the quicker the front moved. On another side of the mountain peak, several high-ranking officials from the martial temple watched patiently for a while. They soon lost interest. Those who entered through the back door to experience the divine radiance generally had a compatibility with martial Tao no higher than 10%. The ancient ancestor once said, "All creatures are entitled to cultivate the martial Tao." A figure murmured to himself. This was also why they tolerated those who entered through the back door to experience the divine radiance. Just because you are not a martial prodigy, doesn't mean you cannot receive guidance from the martial ancestor's path. At the lower plaza, it was finally Lin Yuan's turn to enter and feel the martial ancestor's divine radiance. "Son, don't stress. Just feel it casually." Xinjin cheered Lin Yuan on. Just feel it casually? Lin Jianping's lips twitched. This was an opportunity he had exchanged for with almost half of his wealth. Yet, to ease Lin Yuan's nerves, Lin Jianping still said, "Your mother is right. Don't be under any pressure." "Okay. Got it." Lin Yuan nodded and proceeded through the gate. Hum, hum, hum. 7 statues emitted a faint divine glow. The old man in a black robe stood beside them. "Sit here and close your eyes to feel it," the man in the black robe said calmly, his tone unfluctuating, clearly having repeated this many times. "Sit over there?" Lin Yuan glanced at the 7 statues, his brow slightly furrowed, because he had no idea how to feel it. To others who came here, the divine radiance seemed filled with endless mysteries. But for Lin Yuan, that martial ancestor's divine radiance was something he had grown tired of centuries ago. Just like a high school student being asked to do middle school problems would need intense concentration, a PhD student could see through them at a glance. Conversations about contemplating it were unnecessary. How should I feel it? Lin Yuan thought for a moment, then decided to ask once more. Just close your eyes. The divine radiance will naturally resonate with you, the man in the black robe patiently explained. Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today.